And welcome back, everybody, to the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, Ben Newman. Now, guys, our special guest today, I went to Bradley with. He was in the sports conduct department with me and also played on the baseball team at Bradley. Please welcome my special guest, Brendan Dougherty. Brendan, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Appreciate you having me on, Ben. I'm excited to get this thing going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see you again, buddy. We haven't seen you in a little bit. You know, we've kept in touch these last year, but I'm happy to finally get you on.
Heck yeah, man. And new job for you. So congrats are in order.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Good to see you again. Last time I think I heard your voice, it was calling some Bradley baseball games. So good to hear you again.
And Brendan Dougherty follows suit today with a leadoff homer, and Bradley is quickly out ahead 1-0.
As we look back at great contact by Brendan Dougherty, really just driving it down the middle, right to the right center, and gone. Not normally known for his power hitting, normally a good contact hitter, but a really nice hit by Dougherty, giving the Braves an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, absolutely, you too. Now, Brendan, you recently just signed up to, go back to Bradley University, our alma mater, as an assistant coach for the baseball team. How has that been so far to be back in Peoria?
Oh man, it's been awesome. Yeah, and I'm getting the opportunity to coach some of the guys that I played with. So it's a weird feeling being back for sure. Not as a player and not, the same living circumstances on campus and stuff like that. But it's been a blast so far, and I think it's going to be a great season. So weird to be back, but overall, feels like home. So it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you texted me and I heard that news, I was super excited for you. I mean, it's a really cool opportunity to be back in, a different role, obviously, but it's still really cool to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw, everything from one perspective as a player, and now seeing it from the other side of the locker room definitely gives you a new perspective, and I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot. I've been coaching some travel ball teams, 10U all the way up to 14U, and but being at the collegiate level, I think it's going to be a good experience for me, and I'm excited to get rolling. The fall season's wrapping up here, but the spring is going to come fast for sure.
How did that conversation really come about? How did you get in contact with Bradley to kind of get that decision going?
Yeah, so I mean, right after I got done playing, and I think that was 21 was my last season at Bradley. The coaching staff wanted me to stay on as the assistant coach, volunteer assistant, and I thought about it, and I wanted to try something new. I went out to Reno, Nevada, moved out there for about 9 months. Worked in sales for the Reno Aces, the AAA ball club out there, and wanted to try something new. And working at a baseball field and never getting to set foot on the baseball field, I couldn't be doing that. I need to be on the field, and or the volunteer who was at Bradley, Calvin Peacock, he got a pitching position full time. I think he's at Illinois Springfield. So Coach D and Coach Truan gave me a ring, and I was in Colorado on vacation at the time, and thought about it for a few days. And they're just like, "Hey man, we really want you back. Think you'd be a great coach. We need an infield guy." And it was the right timing. We were ending a sales cycle. The minor league season was ending, and I felt a calling to be back on the field. So I gave him a call a few days later and was like, "Dude, let's do it, man. I'm ready to go." So here I am.
And you just mentioned it, but throughout this past season, you were able to work as an account executive for the Reno Aces. Talk about that experience and kind of what your role was with the Aces.
Yeah, so it was an awesome experience for me, because obviously being at Bradley, having a sports comm degree, and then being there for that 5th year to get my MBA was awesome. But I had never had that kind of real world work experience, playing summer ball, not being able to do internships and stuff like that. And it was really my first kind of 9 to 5 position, and working in sales was an awesome learning experience just because I got to work on communication skills, obviously selling skills, and my just being personal with people. And I loved that. I like doing that, but something about sitting at a desk was just kind of eating away at me. But awesome opportunity. My coworkers, my boss was an awesome mentor. So shout out Alex out in Reno. Overall great experience, but ultimately felt that calling back to the field, and I think it's going to be hopefully long term. We'll see.
It was pretty fun for me, because a few days after I came out here and moved to Salt Lake, I went to our AAA team, the Bees, and they were actually playing the Aces. So I thought that was super fun. The Bees did lose in like the 8th inning, but
The Aces had a good season, man. They wound up winning the PCL. I left right before the PCL championship game down in Vegas, and they wound up beating the El Paso Chihuahuas, which is that's awesome minor league name. But, so they wound up beating them, and then they played the Durham Bulls for the AAA championship, and had the lead going into the 8th inning, and wound up losing. It was tough, but I had a lot of coworkers there. They all took a bus down to Vegas from Reno to go watch the team and support the team. And what was cool about that was it was a full kind of family atmosphere in that workplace. Like the front office was very involved with the games, with the team, and even the celebrations. And I mean, it was cool to be on that business side of kind of everything that happens at a baseball stadium. The team, the operations, the sales, the ticket sales. I mean, yeah, it was cool to experience that. My role as the account executive was mostly like group sales, season ticket sales, stuff like that, selling suites, group outings, stuff like that, which, yeah, great experience. But yeah, the Aces was an awesome organization to work for sure.
You mentioned it a little bit, Brendan, but you had a busy year this year, as the Aces weren't your only job, as you were also a coach at Northern Nevada Baseball Club. Tell me what that experience was like, and how you think that experience kind of helps you realize your potential as a coach.
So basically Northern Nevada Baseball Club is a travel ball organization. We develop kids anywhere from, I think our youngest team is 9U. 9U up to 14U is kind of where the high schoolers start. We develop everyone to get into high school baseball. And we also, have high schoolers come in, workout programs for them. So great organization. The owner is Chris Aguila. Chris Aguila had a good little MLB career. He was with the Marlins and the Mets. Awesome guy to get to know and have that connection out kind of on the West Coast. And also Chris Jimenez was very involved and helped start the program. Chris Jimenez played for the Rangers. He kind of bounced around. I think he might have been with the Dodgers as well, but wound up winning the World Series with the Dodgers as a scouting assistant coach. So awesome guys all the way around. I got to do lessons there. I got to continue doing lessons. So I'd have kids anywhere from 9 years old to high schoolers, hitting lessons, fielding lessons. And then I was also the head coach of the 10U team for a little while. So that was a fun experience. I mean, those kids are awesome, and they're always playing hard. And there's a lot of emotion that goes into it with those little kids. They're very involved. So yeah, going out in Northern Nevada Baseball Club, awesome organization.
Now, Brendan, real quick before we really dive into your playing career, Last summer after graduation, you also had an internship with the Seattle Seahawks. It's really cool to see. Tell me about that experience, what you did for them, and what it was like to be able to work for an NFL team.
Yeah, being in Seattle was cool. So I have some family out there. One of my cousins works in the scouting department for the Seahawks, and so I kind of had a connection out there. I had a little in. It's all about networking here. All that
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So I got to do an internship out there for, I think it was 4 weeks, and I was in the PR and communications department, writing game notes, interviewing players, doing stuff like that, and kind of daily tasks, setting up all the interviewing, podiums, stuff like that. But man, it was awesome to be around those guys, and what a great organization to be a part of. The offices were right in the practice facility on Lake Washington, and it was almost right at the perfect time because it was right after camp and practices were starting up and everybody's kind of getting hyped up for the season. Got to work a couple preseason games, and so that was a really cool experience. And I would definitely think about working in the NFL again. If I ever decided that coaching wasn't for me, I think working in the NFL would be cool.
Diving into your playing career, just kind of getting a little history into you, Brendan. You started playing baseball at 3 years old, and I remember this story from one of the feature stories we did on you and just the baseball team in general, but I wanted you to elaborate on it a little bit. I
Yeah.
remember hearing that your parents had to lie to a little league team to allow you to play.
Yeah, my mom lied on the I don't even know if it was an application form or what. I think 4 years old and I was three. I just turned, I think it was close to 3.5. And, my brother was playing, my older brother, and I wanted to get out there and play some ball. So, she might have forged my age a little bit. So I got to get on the field a little earlier than the other kids. So
I'm sure that helped in the long run, honestly.
I hope so.
Now, obviously, you have a history of sports, and we'll touch on that more in a little bit. But you were a sports con major with me at Bradley. Had a few classes together. Definitely failed an assignment together. Um,
Yeah. And, oh my God.
but when did you realize that you wanted to work in sports?
Oh man. I mean, just growing up, there was never a moment where I just didn't have a ball in my hand. I mean, I was always involved with sports, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, golf, anything. And always watching, I'd watch ESPN and Sports Center top 10 plays, I think 4 or 5 times through in the mornings. I loved sports and I loved the athletes. And, I knew definitely that I wanted to play for as long as I could. And obviously wanted to play professionally, but God has other plans for you, and so I knew I wanted to be definitely involved with sports, no matter what it was, whether working in the front office or coaching. And I love teaching the game for sure. I love talking about the game. Love teaching the game.
And Brendan, you are obviously a very talented baseball player. I mean, you had a great career at Bradley. You really could have had played any sport after high school too. I mean, you were a three-sport player in high school. But what was it about baseball that made you want to continue to play it in college?
I love all of the little details that go into the game, um, and how it's a mind game as well. I don't know. I love that. And honestly, I was just a little better at baseball than I was football or basketball. Um, Basketball wise, I was more of a shooter. I could sit by the 3-point line all day, but that wasn't as entertaining to me as baseball was. Football wise, I played some quarterback my freshman year, and then on varsity played some free safety and outside linebacker. But I didn't have a future in football. I don't think I wasn't fast enough for that. But yeah, baseball was just it came natural to me. The hand-eye coordination and just getting the barrel on the ball consistently, and my hands in the infield were always decent. So I was like, man, I didn't realize till probably about my sophomore year that I had a chance at playing in college. So I got the gift of throwing right-handed and hitting left-handed, and I didn't know until I was in high school that that's what college coaches like to see. And sure enough, I got lucky enough and had a good game when some scouts were watching or some coaches were watching, and I got a little lucky. Had God on my side, so it was good.
I definitely get it. I mean, I wasn't good at baseball, but it was definitely my sport, my best sport, so I definitely understand that. Throughout your life, Brennan, you and your family moved around a lot. Indiana, Virginia, Iowa. With the amount of different teams you've been able to play on throughout your playing career, how have you been able to learn from each experience and, even each place you've lived in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I spent most of my travel ball days growing up in Virginia and playing in the Carolinas and down in Florida. And, the game on the East Coast is a little different than it is in the Midwest for sure. I mean, it feels like on the East Coast, everything's kind of sped up a little bit more. And, once you get to the collegiate level and everything kind of the playing field kind of levels out a little bit. But I mean, we took it seriously. I mean, in my opinion, a little too seriously when I was at a young age. I mean, there was one summer where I think we played over 100 games one summer and fall in Virginia with I think I was 12 years old when we were on that team called the Richmond Braves. And everything was crazy. It was fast paced, but moving to Iowa and getting to be successful in 3 sports, I think kind of set the tone for me. I loved kind of getting my mind off of baseball, when it was football season or basketball season. And, I think in college, you want to succeed so bad that you are constantly thinking about it, constantly working. And, that's good and all, but if I could do it over again, I think I'd take a little more time to kind of just sit back and not think about it so much, because I took it very, very seriously and wanted to be, the best that I could.
And going off of that as well, in the various places you've lived, there's been multiple sports teams. I mean, I lived outside of Indianapolis. Lynchburg, Virginia had a single A team with the Guardians. And then, with Des Moines, I mean, there's multiple teams that have minor league affiliates in the NBA, MLB, and NHL. So, on top of Drake University as well.
Yeah.
So, what was it like to be around so many different collegiate and pro teams, and how difficult was it to pick a favorite team growing up?
Dude, oh my gosh, it was tough. It was really tough. And I wound up going back to, kind of where I was born. I was born in Snellville, Georgia. So I was like, you know what? When I was like 7 years old, I was like, I'm going to be a Georgia fan. So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. But my dad would have killed me if I didn't root for the Philadelphia Eagles, because he's from Philly. So,
Okay.
and right now, hey, that sounds pretty bandwagon right now. All 3 of those teams are doing some damage, but
A little bit.
yeah, but I'm a Philly fan through and through. When it comes to football, we grew up watching the Eagles, but I'm kind of on my own. They're Phillies fans, but that's gonna be a fun playoff series with those two.
No, 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 no.
But I grew up going to minor league games and going to watch the Lynchburg Hillcats and Lynchburg, the single A affiliate for the Guardians, and even the Iowa Cubs, the AAA ball club for the Chicago Cubs. Awesome stadium, and got to play the state tournament there, and also got to play some summer ball games there as well. So it was tough, and having family that was Philly fans. My mom's from Minnesota. She's a Vikings fan. It's like you can't keep track of it all. You just kind of have to. You just kind of have to do you and pick your own.
Yeah. Well, For starters, I got the Eagles defense on my fantasy team, so love them for that. Two, congrats on the Braves win, obviously last year with the World Series. And three, I hate you for being a Georgia fan because I'm a Michigan fan.
I'm a fair weather bulldog.
Fair enough.
I have any ties to the Bulldogs to Athens besides being from Snellville, but nah, I'm a fair weather Bulldog fan for sure.
Fair enough. Now, you spent 3 years of varsity in high school, started off getting a lot of attention, and, it kind of seemed like the stars aligned, if you will, because when Bradley did come to scout your guys' game, in that game you hit for the cycle. So describe this moment and why you chose Bradley over other schools.
Yeah, that was the lucky game I was talking about. But one of my best buddies from Dowling, where I went to high school, Ben Olson, he was committed to Bradley, and I didn't know much about Bradley. I'd honestly never had really heard of it before, and he texted me and was like, "Hey, our hitting coach and our recruiting coordinator, Sean Lyons, at the time, he left once I got there, but he texted Ben, reached out and said, "Hey, like, is this guy like worth coming out and seeing?" And that was when I was kind of starting to get attention from some junior colleges, Western Illinois, NIU, some kind of smaller schools, and so Sean came out to Coach Lyons came out to watch me play, and my first at bat, I hit a single off the wall because right field was so short. I was running hard, I promise. And then the next at bat, I hit a home run, and then my third at bat, I hit a double in the left center gap, and I didn't realize that I was a triple away from the cycle. And sure enough, I hit a ground ball down the first base line, and like I said, it was a short porch and right. So the dude was fielding it before I touched second base, but I was lucky because I had a runner on first. And so the relay went home, and I slid into third with no throw. So I got lucky because I would have been canned at third base. But yeah, that was cool. And so we talked after the game, and he wanted to bring me out on campus for a visit, and that was my first collegiate offer was Bradley, and I loved Coach Dominguez, and the facilities were awesome. Loved the school and the location. 4 hours away from where my parents live now in Des Moines, Iowa, and so yeah, it worked out well. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my 4.5 to 5 years there.
Yeah, definitely. You and your family do seem very close. So what has that support in your life and career meant to you in your growth as an individual?
Oh man, it's been awesome. I had two. No, I had two very supportive parents, and I had two awesome siblings that loved going to games. I don't know if they loved it or not, but they had to go. Yeah, my sister, when my brother was still playing too, my sister would sit at the ball field for 6-7 hours at the time. So yeah, bless her heart. But
Yeah.
two supportive parents that were willing to do whatever they could to make sure you were successful, whether it's baseball lessons, whether it's gas money to go to your friend's house, or whatever it is. They were always more than generous, and hopefully one day I'll get to pay that back for sure.
That's the goal with any kid, right? Just to be able to pay it all back.
Right, man.
Now, going off of that, you were a 5-year starter at Bradley playing third base. You had quite the career. I mean, MVC Freshman of the Year, a few conference nods, top 10 in multiple categories, including fourth in all-time base hits. Reflecting on your time at Bradley as a student athlete, how has your time on the team and the school overall, I guess, just helped you grow as a person?
Well, I mean, being in that locker room for the last 5 years was awesome. The group of guys that you meet, that brotherhood of what is Bradley baseball, and all the guys that make it up and that go through the wins and losses and the struggles with you, and the good times. We had plenty of good times. But I mean, truly, that was kind of when I turned the page from being a high school guy to and a young, or I guess a teenager, to becoming a young man. And Coach Dominguez is always awesome about growing, or teaching young boys how to become men. And the culture of the school and the culture of the baseball team is so much more than just baseball. It's about academics, being a good person, doing the right thing. And I definitely learned how to be a decent guy, I hope. at
Every baseball player needs a good walk-up song to, get in the zone, represent them as a player, as a person. So, looking at your career, what have been some of your favorite walk-up songs?
Oh man, I'd say number one, my walk-up song my sophomore year. I think that might have been when I had my highest batting average too. That might not be a coincidence, but it was "Money for Nothing" by Dire Straits, and I
Okay.
think I started it at a minute and 20. I want to say a minute 26 seconds is when I started it. It's just the guitar solo, just right into the song, phenomenal. And then I think my fifth year, it was "Flower" by Moby, which is that, whatever. I don't even know what that song is. I think it was Bryce Harper's walk up, but it's the one you do freaking push-ups to, and you do air squats to, and stuff like that. And Coach Eddie Pappas, our strength and conditioning coach, would play it, and we do a push-up challenge. And that always got me going, and I would always try to win the push-up challenge. And not to hate on any of my teammates, because I love them all, but I'd usually kick their butts in the push-up challenge. That song kind of got me known of, hey, you put in the work, and now let's see it pay off. So I liked that one too. But "Money for Nothing" by Dire Straits was probably my favorite.
Now, when you were playing for the Braves, you were a very consistent batter, having multiple base hit streaks throughout your career. But what do you think really helped you to become such a reliable batter?
Coach Truan, definitely. He was our hitting coach starting my freshman year. So we came in at the same time, and he's been at Bradley since. He's the assistant head coach now, still does all the hitting stuff. And we came in together, and kind of grew together that freshman year. He was getting to know all the new players, and we really had a lot of one-on-one time to figure out how I could get the most bat speed out of my swing. And I always had the hand-eye coordination, the barrel control, the bat to ball skills. But working with him on my stance, my load, more timing aspects, more than anything, was definitely influential for me to grow as a hitter. And that's when that freshman year was when we worked the most together, because after that, he kind of just trusted me as a hitter. But that freshman year, we really got together, figured it out, and I wound up having a good year, especially in conference, and was lucky enough to be a freshman All-American and win the Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year. So that's kudos to him, even more than me. It was cool.
Now, along with that, as someone who's also played baseball, you and I both know that baseball is a very mental game. One mistake can really shake a player. So, what are some things that you went about doing to, if you did make a mistake, whether that be, a strikeout, a missed ball, what have you, how did you go about just kind of staying focused and not letting that get to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you make an error or to me, like striking out was the same thing as making an error in the field. I couldn't stand striking out, but
Me too.
uh, obviously you just got to flush it. You try your best to just flush it. And um, the good thing about when you're hitting, if you strike out your first or second at bat, you're like, all right, I got two or three more. Let's help the team win here. Anything you can. But when you're kind of out on that island in the field and you make an error and everybody's just kind of watching how you react, your body language, that ball always seems to find you again, like either that same inning or the next one. And if you boot it again, I mean, that's your reputation, that's your team on the line, the game on the line. And you just have to refine that zone. Everybody talks about the zone when you're playing the flow of the game, when you're in the rhythm of the game. Kind of an error or a strikeout kind of takes you out of that rhythm of the game. And you got to just fight to get back in it. And the best way to get back in it is picking up your teammates or making a play or going up there and having a quality at bat.
Now, Brandon, moving on from that, unfortunately, you did not get drafted to the pros last year, but a couple of your teammates did get drafted in Brooks Gosswein and Theo Denlinger. Oddly enough, both getting drafted into the White Sox farm system. So, what does that mean to you to see some of your teammates getting their chance to further their playing career in the pros?
Oh, it's really cool. And they're going to make the most of it. I know both of those guys are. And I was fortunate enough to play with Luke Mangieri, who got drafted by the Pirates, and Bobby Johnson, who's still with the Rockies right now, Rockies organization. And those guys all just have that competitive edge to where they don't want to lose. I mean, going out there, I mean, that's why those guys were our best players, when they were here. Put up consistent numbers all the time, and they've got the stuff to hopefully make it to the big leagues one day. And I'm rooting for them. I mean, it's always cool. Bradley's such a small school, and not a lot of people are familiar with the B Shield. And so anytime there's an opportunity for Bradley to get on the map, whether it's the March Madness tournament when they're playing Michigan State, or Mike Talkman, who was a big leaguer for the Giants and the Yankees, watching him succeed, it's awesome. So anything to get Bradley on the map I'm rooting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was super cool because for some reason, every single game I broadcasted your last season was a Brooks Gosswein on the mound. And then, with my internship last year with the Growlers, I got to watch Theo once because he was on one of the teams in the Northwoods League. So it was just super cool to, see all that happen. And
yeah, and both awesome guys off the field too. And they both have unique stories. And Theo being a blacksmith on the side and stuff like that, and throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. It's cool stuff, and it's stories like that and guys like that who you're like, man, that guy might pitch in the big leagues one day. Like that'd be a pretty cool story. So we're all rooting for him.
now, following that, you did mention this at the very beginning, but you're back at Bradley to help coach the team only a year and a half after graduating from Bradley. There are definitely still players on that team that you actually played with and spent a lot of time with. So, is it weird to be back with these guys you spent so much time with in a different role, or I guess what does it really feel like to be viewed as a coach with your friends rather than their teammate?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different dynamic. Have not had any issues with it at all. Not that I expected that, but there's definitely a level of respect that you have to show a coach versus when you're teammates, you're just being buddy. And everybody's been awesome about it. And I think it helps because they all knew I'm a pretty serious guy on the field. I don't do a lot of joking around, even when I was playing. I was there to win the game and to play to the best of my ability. And coaching, I'm doing the same thing. I'm not there to mess around during practice. I'm there to get the team better. That's my job. And so just trying to do my job. And the guys have been super respectful. They were respectful when I was a captain on the team, and now being a coach, they're showing even more respect, which I think is cool. And we got a really good group of guys, and being friends with them is cool too, because, when we're off the field in the locker room, we can share old stories or of us, doing whatever, being dumb or games that we played together, and we can share those stories, which is cool. But the coaching aspect is definitely different, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool to see. I'm glad that they're respecting you, because it's definitely a weird thing for sure to kind of have to change that, I guess, perspective on things.
Right.
But going off of that as well, we mentioned obviously your current role now. We mentioned Nevada Baseball Club. Was coaching always something that you saw yourself doing after graduating?
Yes, definitely. I knew that I would stay in the game one way or the other. And, I kind of tried the operations business side of it, and still found myself coaching on the side. And so I was like, man, I should just do this full time, because that was always the best part of my day, was going out and just hitting fungos or throwing BP and just teaching the game, sharing experiences and sharing all of the the levels of the game that you've been taught by all of your mentors and coaches and teammates. Getting to share that information with other people and trying to excel their careers is very rewarding, in my opinion. I've always been, I've always wanted to serve others, to be a servant and to, help anybody with anything. And I think coaching is a way that I can do that, is help guys, get the most out of their abilities and to hopefully make it to the next level.
Going a little deeper into that too, in your opinion, how would you describe your coaching style, and what do you think you really bring to the table to try and elevate this program?
Yeah, definitely. I think my coaching style is, I don't know, I don't want to say old school, because I'm very hands-on. And I think being fresh out of the game, I want to be as hands-on as I can. I'll go out and field ground balls with the guys, or I won't take swings anymore because I'll probably throw out my back. No, I like showing them drills, hitting drills, fielding drills, whatever was successful for me. And that's the cool thing about baseball. You have all these coaches and nobody's completely right. Nobody knows the secret formula to getting someone drafted or making it to the big leagues. But what these guys can do is take bits and pieces of information, advice, drills, and you have what's called a toolbox. Baseball guys talk about all the time. You take useful information and you put it in your toolbox for your game. That's how you kind of develop your own playing style, and that's your characteristics as a player. And so I'm just trying to offer as much as I can to these guys to put in their toolbox and hopefully use to become successful. So hopefully I'm not throwing too much at them. I'm not super advanced, but I do have more experience than, a lot of these guys that I'm coaching. So taking my experiences and what I've learned at Bradley and throughout my playing career, I think my coaching style is just giving these guys the information, the drills, doing the most that I can, whether it's early work, whether it's staying late, anything I can do to help these guys. I'm there for them. So I don't know. That's kind of a bad explanation on my coaching. Long story short, I guess I'm traditional. I don't know.
Okay. Now, obviously you just started this new experience with the Braves, but so far, what have you enjoyed the most about this opportunity?
I think hitting ground balls. I just like being on the field and just swinging the bat again. And I just like hitting ground balls to these guys. I think it's fun. I just leave the office at 1:30 or 2, head down to the stadium, and I'm hitting ground balls for the next hour, 2 hours, and yeah, it's the best part of my day. Just getting them better.
Now there are some coaches that they hit ground balls with a two-handed bat, but there's also some that hit them with the one-handed. So which kind of coach are you?
Oh, I'm two-handed all the way.
All
I'm
right.
too young to be just doing the one hand thing.
Fair enough. Now, finally, Brandon, to just kind of walk off this episode, but what are you looking forward to the most about this upcoming season with Bradley?
Man, we got a lot of depth. I'm looking forward to seeing who's gonna kind of earn a spot on the team. I mean, we've got a lot of guys who are right there, who just at any time could be in that starting lineup, which is cool. I mean, because usually at Bradley, Coach D likes to start young guys to get that experience, and that's awesome. I got that opportunity when I came, and we've got a lot of guys who are extremely competitive with positions right now. So I'm excited to see how that gets the entire team better. When you're competing for a spot, you're always working a little bit harder than when you have the spot. So and we also have a really deep and healthy pitching staff right now, which is something they did not have last year. And we've dealt with some injuries in the past years, which is just unfortunate. I mean, obviously it just happens, but the pitching staff is going to be pretty good, and I think we're going to swing it. So as long as I get that defense straight, hopefully I'll get them right, and we can win some ball games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Excited to see what you can do as a coach at Bradley, and I guarantee, give it, 10 or so years, I could definitely see you as a conference coach of the year somewhere. So,
Man, I hope so. Holy smokes! But hey, Ben, really appreciate you having me on, man. Awesome to catch up with you, and I'm wishing you the best of luck in Utah, and I'm rooting for you, man. Go Braves!
thank you, man. Go Braves. But that's going to wrap things up for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. Thank you to Brendan Dougherty for coming on, talking about his baseball career, talking about his career with Reno Aces, and of course his brand new coaching career with the Bradley Braves. So excited for him. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of Bradley. I wouldn't be here without Bradley University. So big shout out to that. Did you guys enjoy this episode? Well, make sure to like and subscribe, share it with a friend. And if you've never watched it before today, make sure to go check out the other videos, as it really means a lot to me and really helps support this channel as well. As always, if you enjoyed the music, go check out Hidden Harmony. Link for them will be in the description as always. And with all that being said, guys, thank you again so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, BaseLINE Newman, and we'll catch you guys next time. Go Braves, baby.